Well, the CEO of Norfolk Southern, Alan Shaw, will testify in front of the Senate Commerce Committee today. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance will take the opportunity to tout his bipartisan Railway Safety Act. He, along with Senators Marco Rubio and Josh Hawley, also publishing a Fox op-ed this morning, further explaining the legislation. Here's how we avoid another East Palestine train wreck before it's too late. Joining me now is the Ohio Senator himself, J.D. Vance. He's a member of the Joint Economic Banking and Commerce Committee. Senator, thanks very much for being here this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us about it. How do we avoid the next mishap?
Well, a couple of things, Maria. First of all, we need to install more wayside safety detectors on these rail lines. It should have been obvious that this train wheel was melting down in process. It was obvious for miles. We just didn't have enough safety sensors on the tracks to notify the conductors that that was going on. The second thing, Maria, that this does is if you go to East Palestine, you talk to the local firefighters, they will tell you they went into what was effectively a hazmat zone, a massive chemical fire, without knowing what was on the train. We've got to provide these firefighters and local first responders the notification so that they know what they're dealing with. That's really the main thrust of what our legislation does. And frankly, the pathetic attempts by the rail lobby to push back on this 3 months after they came to Washington, D.C. to get a federal bailout is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good point that you raised, because maybe the National Review editorial is in step with those people criticizing your rail bill. In the National Review this morning, it writes, it incorporates policy recommendations from Secretary Buttigieg that are not germane to the East Palestine accident, granting the Secretary's office broad new powers to regulate the rail sector. It includes SOPs to organize labor. The unions were very much part of the bill writing process, Senator. What can you say?
Yeah, so this editorial contains a number of factual inaccuracies, and I find it, of course, funny, of course, that we have this allegedly conservative publication that endorsed Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden in 2020, now attacking my piece of legislation. But look, it was not written by the rail unions. It was actually written by a very good guy in my office under my supervision, so that's a lie. It does not give the Secretary of Transportation unlimited or even unprecedented authority. What it does is it forces Pete Buttigieg to do something about rail safety rather than complain about Republicans and complain about Donald Trump. This is what we need to do. The act of legislating is forcing these guys to do something, and that's exactly what our legislation does.
So tell me about the air quality and the environment there now. Senator, you really brought it home when you put that stick in the water and showed us the chemicals in the water right after the accident. How are things today?
They're getting better, Maria, but there's still a lot of work to do on the cleanup. The biggest thing that I'm concerned about is you still have these large mounds of toxic dirt. So they dug the toxic dirt out of the ground, but now it's just sitting there. They're starting to move it in large quantities, and that's the thing I've been focused on the last week, Maria, is once you get this stuff out of the ground, you've got to get it out of East Palestine into properly licensed facilities so people there on the ground can go back to living their lives. There's still a lot of work to do, but I will say 2 weeks ago, I was very frustrated by the pace of the cleanup. Now things are starting to move a little bit, and that's a good thing.
What are we going to learn from the CEO of Norfolk Southern when he testifies?
You know, one thing we're going to learn actually is I think he's actually more supportive of our legislation than some of the public reports might have led you to believe. I think we're going to learn a little bit more about what actually happened with the train crash, why it happened, and how we can prevent it in the future. And I hope, Maria, and certainly we're going to ask about this, that we get some firm commitments to continue to invest in the people of East Palestine. If you look at what this has done to the community, what it's done to home values, what it's done to the small businesses and their customer base, they're going to be dealing with the economic consequences of this for 5 years or more. We need Norfolk Southern to stay committed to this community, and that's what I hope to hear.
I know we still have not seen the president go to Ohio, but what really can he do, even if he goes?
Well, look, I think, first of all, he can provide some moral leadership. He can actually get on the ground and let people know that his own government, his own administration cares about their own citizens. This is a guy who sends every signal that he cares about Ukraine or some other far-flung corner of the world. We're now letting Chinese nationals illegally in through our southern border. He seems to care about everybody except for the citizens of his own country. So I think, first of all, showing up shows that you actually care about your own people. The second thing, Maria, is there is a lot more the federal government government could be doing from FEMA on down. If the Biden administration showed some real passion and some real urgency, I think the people of East Palestine would be in better shape.
Well, I mean, it takes leadership and it takes the administration setting the tone. I mean, we've been talking about those Chinese nationals breaching the U.S. southern border all morning. The numbers are up 920% year over year. Senator, do you think they're being directed by the CCP? What is China up to?
Well, the question is, we don't know, Maria. That's what's so scary about this. We have no idea what they're doing, and they're basically giving pieces of paper where they promise to come back to appear in court, and then they go everywhere across our country. Yeah. We have no idea what they're doing. Are they spying on military installations? Are they taking photographs of sensitive information? We don't know, and the fact the Biden administration doesn't appear to want to find out is maybe the biggest problem with what's going on at our southern border.
Yeah, for sure. Senator, thanks very much. We'll be watching your work. JD Vance joining us this morning in D.C.
Thanks, Maria.
We'll see you soon.